If you spend your day with earphones in your ears, I want you to throw them in the nearest trash can and listen to me because I made this video specifically for you. A long time ago, when I was a child, I loved raising cats. I had a cat, and since I was born and raised in a third world country and in a poor family, I could only give that cat leftover food. After lunch, I would give her the leftover potatoes to eat. Sometimes I would give her bread and she would eat it. She would eat anything I gave her, and there was no problem. When I grew up a bit, I raised another cat. This new cat came into my life when I had started working and earning some money, so I began buying her cat food. Sometimes I would buy her fish and take good care of her. I still remember occasionally, I would bring her bread and put it down for her to eat, but she would sniff it, leave it, and start meowing at me. At that time, I didn't understand what had happened. How could the previous cat live with me on just bread, and this new cat demanded fancy food? Later, I realized that the brain of a cat and the brain of most animals works in the same way as our human brain. Imagine a person who always drinks coffee with 3 teaspoons of sugar. If you give them coffee without sugar one day, they won't be able to drink it because they're used to the sugar. But another person who always drinks it without sugar will find it normal. The same thing happens with the brain. A person who plays a lot of games, when they try to switch to reading a book after hours of playing, won't be able to focus because their brain is used to games, movement, and a high level of stimulation. What's the connection between this and music? The effect of music on the brain is similar to the effect of sugar and games. Music causes the brain to release dopamine in large amounts and in an easy way. Dopamine is simply the hormone that makes you get up and do something. It makes you wake up, work, read, eat, and play. When you continuously listen to music a lot, you start getting large amounts of dopamine in an easy way, and this is what causes addiction. You become addicted to music, finding that you can't live without it and constantly need to listen to it. You keep increasing the dose. You might find that if you want to go for a walk, you need to wear earphones. If you're at home, you need to play music. You keep increasing the volume until you become a slave to music and can't live without it. Your brain gets used to a certain type of pleasure, and over time, it happens to you as it happened to the cat I raised. She got used to good food, and when I gave her bread, she didn't want it. The same thing happens to you. You start finding ordinary tasks boring and uninteresting because your brain isn't used to sitting and focusing in silence. Furthermore, your entire life is affected. Our brain usually needs to live a normal life. It isn't designed to constantly enjoy and release dopamine for long periods. When you give it music, that level of pleasure becomes the norm, and if you deprive your brain of music, it can't function properly. Therefore, normal activities like sitting, working, or walking somewhere become boring to your brain, something unenjoyable even if it's supposed to be normal. Your brain becomes disturbed and can't calm down or think quietly. Now, I want you to ask yourself a question. Is music something enjoyable for you? Because if you always listen to songs, over time, songs become ordinary, something unenjoyable. If you put on earphones and start listening without feeling anything, run. You need to take those earphones and throw them in the nearest trash can because you're addicted to songs. Music should be something good that makes you enjoy it, and if that's not happening, then you're simply addicted. This is just one harm of music, the disturbance it creates in your mind. Learn to sit in silence, learn to listen to your thoughts. Now, you might tell me that music is good and can help you work well, study well, and train well. Yes, I agree with you. That's true, but music is like medicine. It has benefits, but it also has side effects. Imagine that you have a toothache and you buy a painkiller. Initially, it will be effective on the first and second day, but over time, the medicine will lose its effect. If you're someone who has had dental problems, you'll know this. The painkiller only relieves the pain in the first few days, and after that, it becomes ineffective. Over time, if you use it too much, it will cause more harm to your health than the pain from your tooth. The same applies to music and any other addiction. If you light a cigarette, initially it will be enjoyable. The second cigarette will be enjoyable too. It brings you that sweet rush. But over time, you inhale toxins. You end up smoking just to get back to your normal state, and all that initial pleasure disappears. The same thing happens with music. For example, you start reading, you play music, and you read well. Over time, when you get used to music, all the benefits you used to get from it will no longer be there. You won't feel anything, and that's when problems start to appear. Your brain has a part called the basal ganglia, which is responsible for linking your behaviors. If you always drink coffee and smoke a cigarette, over time, whenever you drink coffee, you'll crave a cigarette. When you get used to reading with music, every time you want to read, you'll need music. The problem is that music will lose its benefits one day and will become like a drug with side effects without any benefit. In the end, music is like a brain bomb. Addiction to music can destroy your life. Please, try to reduce it. Here, I'm speaking to you from my personal experience. I myself had a severe addiction to music. If there wasn't any music, I couldn't sleep. I would wear earphones all day long. So be smart and enjoy without destroying yourself.